So Canva just recently announced a pricing change that may affect some of us, and luckily as a group we are handling this very well.
No, God!
So what is this pricing change? Is it something that's going to affect you? And if it does affect you, is this time to panic, or maybe there's a more measured approach, some strategies we can take so this isn't such a big deal? All that and more, so let's dive into it. Okay, so what is this Canva pricing change? This is a change to the pricing model for Canva Teams. So if you're a Canva Pro member, you don't have to worry about anything. Your pricing is going to stay the same. But the change is to the team plan. And so what do you need to know about that? Well, now Canva is going to where it's going to be you have to have a team of at least 3 people, and it's going to be $100 a person. So even if you were just one person, it would be $300. If you had 3 people, that's going to be $300. If you had 5 people, $100 per person, it's going to be $500. Okay, so I must admit, when I first heard this, I thought, hasn't it always been $100 per person? I didn't think there was really much of a change. So to understand this change and why some people are upset about it, let's just dive very quickly into the pricing history for a Canva Teams account. Okay, so this is a screenshot of the current Canva pricing. So we can see, as I said, it's going to be $100 a year per person, and you have to have a minimum of 3 people. So that means a minimum of $300 a year. And this is US dollars that we're looking at right now. Now, because I do a lot of tutorials and I have some screen captures where I've talked about pricing before, I went back and I found this one, which as far as I can tell is from April of this year, so April of 2024. And so we see for the April pricing, we had $120 basically per year per person and a minimum of 2 people. So we've gone up 1 person because you have to have 3 people now, but you're actually getting a little bit of the break a little bit of a break on the price because it used to be $100 per person. Or it is going to be now $100 per person, I should say, and it used to be $120. So that per person pricing actually has come down from what it was in April this year. April this year, we had this $120 mark. Now it's down to $100 per person, but the caveat being is that you have to go to at least a 3-person team. Okay, so that to me is not a big shift, but here is where the big shift is coming into play for some people. If I went back even farther and I found another screenshot from a tutorial I did on pricing from June of last year, so June of 2023, and if I look at Canva for Teams pricing from June of last year, then we see we sort of had this legacy option where it was $150, but it was $150 a year for the first 5 people. So I don't think we're talking about a per person price here. This was $150 and you could have up to 5 people on your team. And if you looked at this plan and you had 5 people in the past and you were paying $150, well now 5 at $100 per person, that's going to be $500. So this is where some people are reacting to a price increase, I think, that could be extreme because they were talking about $149 for their team. Now, if they're paying for the whole team instead of individual team members paying for themselves, if you're someone who's a small business owner and you're paying for the whole team, your price could jump if you had a 5-person team from $150 to $500. So from that perspective, I do understand some people sort of being, whoa, because this is a significant increase in that instance. Now, for other people, it's not a big deal. But if you are someone that has a multi-person team and you're the small business owner and you're paying for those people, then you may have to pay attention to this because this could be an instance where suddenly your yearly bill is going to go up significantly. Okay, so when is this price change going to go into effect, and how can you confirm that you are someone who's going to be affected by this change? And then if you are someone who is affected by this change, what are the considerations you need to take into account to determine whether you want to pay the increase and continue with Teams, or if you want to switch, how do you switch? What other considerations do you need to have, like losing files? What if you want to still collaborate with others? Let's talk about these questions. Okay, so step 1 might be, if you can't remember, just reminding yourself whether or not you're on that Canva Teams plan. And to do that, you're going to log into your Canva account. You want to come over to this settings icon here. And then from the settings icon from there, you go down and you want to find this billings and plans link. And then under that link, you're going to be able to see if you're on a Teams account. If so, how many team members do you have? because remember, with this new plan, you're going to get billed per team member, and you have to have at least 3 members to have that Teams account. But if you have 5, you're going to get billed $100 for each team member, so that would be $500. So that's where the big pricing shift potentially can come into play. Now, from what I've been seeing, if you are a Canva Teams account member, you're also going to be getting an email and notifications from Canva. So be on the lookout in your dashboard for a notification, and it's going to probably look something like this. I have 2 examples here on screen. So it basically tells you, what the change is going to be. It's going to give you sort of a discounted rate, because as they roll this out, they usually are discounting the first 12 months, so you get a break. You can see with one of these it's 30%, one of these is 40%. So that depends on the region you're in. So you may get a discounted rate for the first 12 months. It'll show you what that discounted rate is, but then it's also going to show you what your new rate is. So if you are on a Teams account, be on a lookout for an email from Canva. Be on a lookout for this sort of notification in your dashboard, because you should get something letting you know what your new rate's going to be. Is there a discount period? When does that start? And then when does the new rate start? Because it's going to be important to know these dates and know when these new prices are going to roll into effect for you. With these new rates, I've been seeing a lot of anger and a lot of frustration with potentially a larger bill. And believe you me, I do understand that. I do understand the struggle of sort of trying to be a small entrepreneur, paying your bills. It can be tough, but I do encourage you to sort of move past that and just think about this from a business perspective. I think whenever you have a business expense like this, and that is what this is, you have to decide, does it make sense for your business? In other words, if you're paying for someone to use Canva on your team, and that's really going to increase their productivity, increase the bottom line and the revenue of your business, then it might easily pay for itself and be worth it. But if you're really bootstrapping it and your Canva activities aren't really, leading to extra income, and you just don't have the budget for it, then maybe you do need to consider what are your other options. And regardless, either way, you might want to just think about, okay, what are the real benefits of the Canva team plan? Is it something I even need at all? Because maybe this is a chance to reassess, and maybe even if Canva is an important part of your business, maybe there are ways to continue to use it and collaborate without necessarily having this Teams plan. So let's really dive into this Teams plan, look at the benefits you get, and is that always something you need? Because for some people, sure, if you're doing tons of social media and you need multiple people working concurrently on designs, yes, maybe this Teams plan makes sense. But for other, people that are really hustling and they have different people on their teams doing different things, I don't know that you necessarily need to be on Canva Teams. So let's talk about what you actually get as a Canva Teams member. So here we are looking at the Canva pricing page. We can see it has things like scale your brand and centralize your assets. So in other words, you can have all your brand assets in one place, a place where all your team members can easily access them. Ensure brand consistency with approvals, so you can make sure you have rules in there that dictate, how your brand assets are used by your team members, and then edit, collaborate, comment in real time. Okay. So when we're talking about that Teams account, it's really about the ability to share designs, the ability to collaborate, the ability to have sort of a central hub where we can share folders, where we can share brand assets. However, I'm sort of the opinion, a lot of this you can do without Teams. There's still other ways to collaborate from one Canva user to another without necessarily having the Teams account. For example, you can share designs in Canva without having a Teams account. You can still easily share a design with someone else. You can even collaborate in real time on a file with another user. Let me just show you an example. So here I am in Canva, and this is under a Canva Pro account. But let's say I'm working on this YouTube end screen here, and let's say I want to share it with someone else. So I can come up here under this share button in the corner here, and even though someone isn't a team member, I can still share a file with them. Okay, so I can come in here and I can just grant access based on the other person's Canva email. So I know that I have a free account under Greg at Radcliffe Designs. So I have this free account. I can go ahead and share. I can say, hey, check this out, or whatever I want to say to my team member. I can share that file I'm not going to invite them to a team because we're not talking about working in a team. We're talking about working outside of a team. So now if I jump over to that other free account, so here I am under a different browser window. This is under my free account now. See, I'm under a personal free account now. Now I got a new notification up here. It says Greg shared something with you. So let me just jump in here. That's not the particular one. Let me just refresh here for a second because that's not the notification. We can see that change from 2 to 3. So I got that new notification now that I refreshed, and Greg shared YouTube end screen with you. So now I can go, I can see it said, hey, check this out. I can come in there and now I'm working on this file, right? They shared a file that we can now come in and we can collaborate and we can edit in real time. So I can come in and I can work with this. I can come in here and I can add some text. So let me just add a text box here and let's bring it up here. And so I can say, Control A, hi from a free account, right? And as I'm actually typing and working here, if I drag this just off screen, so you're going to see my other window where my other account is. Now you can see that I can see this person typing. And if I go over to that other window and I type some more stuff, you can see it actually happen real time on screen here, where you can see where the other person is working in the document. So you can work in real time this way. Now let me bring that free account back over again. I'm recording sort of 2 browser windows here. So if I bring this free account back over here, now, one of the advantages of Pro account we know is you can work with those Pro assets, Pro images, and things like that. But if I'm under a free account, I can still add Pro elements to a design. So if I'm collaborating, I can add Pro elements to a design, even though I'm not a Pro account holder. I just can't download those. But if I'm working with someone on a team on a collaborative project and they do have a Pro account, then they can do the download. So let's just say I came up here under images and let's just type in here anything. I'm just going to type in dog, whatever. We're going to type something in, but let me go under my photos here. I can see that this is a Pro asset right here. It's got that icon here, right? So if I just drag this onto screen, let me just do it again. We can see it's going to show up here with the watermark on top of it. But again, if I jump back over to that free account, so again, I'm working on this. I can make changes. I'm not going to download this because I have that free account, but we can see back over here on this account here, then suddenly on this account here, suddenly I can do anything I want. I can download this because this is a Pro account. So under a Pro account, I can make use of this element in my design. So this is just an example of where just because you're not under teams, you can still collaborate with others. You can still collaborate on designs. You just have to think of these different workflows and strategies you can use. So in other words, I could collaborate with this person fine, and we could have 2 people collaborating, and we don't have to get billed for that 3-person team, right? We each have our individual accounts, or even if you were the business owner and you wanted to pay for a second account so you could collaborate in this way, you're still then just paying for 2 accounts instead of essentially paying for 3 accounts. So there are ways to collaborate here even without using Teams. Now, there are other advantages to Teams where you're going to have to continue to find workarounds. Let's just look at another example. So sharing folders, for example. So here, if I wanted to share this social media folders here, these assets here, I could go to these 3 dots and I could choose share. But if I type in that name where I just shared my file before, I can only share that with team members. So you can share individual designs and work collaboratively on individual designs, but you can't share folders if you're not on Teams. An advantage of Teams is you can have shared folders, you can have shared brand assets where you can very easily work with those. But again, this is just another case of having to find a workaround if you're not under a Teams account. So I can't share a folder in that way, but if we're working on a project, at the beginning of the project, I could just send the other person all the assets. They could upload them to Canva. Then we both have the assets to work on. So one extra step, but not that big of a deal. Another option would be if we're in a design here, you can come under the apps tab. And if I search for something like Google Drive, then suddenly you can add Google Drive. And so we could have a shared Google Drive folder. So you can use Google Drive. You could also do the same thing here with Dropbox. So I could search for Dropbox. Again, another Canva extension should pop up here. So again, Dropbox. So you can link these different things and then still access the same files, share the same files. Now I understand that you can't in Dropbox or Google Drive specifically store a Canva design file the way you would in a Canva folder. So some little differences, and you may have a couple more little steps, but again, are these steps, worth it if you're saving that extra money that you would be paying for Teams? Maybe they are, so again, this really comes down to, again, assessing the pros and cons. Then it's a business decision for you, what workflow is going to make the most sense, what fits with your budget. If you get those little extra time savings from going to a Teams plan, then sure, pay attention to the bottom line of your business. If it's going to increase your revenue, that's going to cover the costs of the upgrade, and go for it. But otherwise, know that you do have these other options. Now, the final piece of this puzzle, if you are someone that decides you need to move away from Teams, then how do you go from a Teams account to a Pro account or a personal account? So on screen right now, I have sort of a support document that Canva has released, switching from Canva Teams to Canva Pro. So I will post a link to this down in the description of this video, so you can follow that link, you can check this out. But one really important thing of note, because I've seen it discussed in a lot of forums, is people are worried about what happens if someone invited me to a team and then suddenly I'm off that team. What happens to all those designs I created while I was working under that team? And if we look in this support document, this is something we have to worry about. We can see right here this warning: people removed from a team will lose access to designs that they created in that team immediately. Make sure everyone on your team has backed up their designs before removing them. So learn how to transfer designs to a personal account. So again, they have another document here on transferring designs. So I will link all this below. But in this these instructions here, it talks about moving from one team's account to another team's account. You're not necessarily going to have two teams' account to do that. So just remember that anytime you have a file and you want to preserve that file by sharing that design with someone else, you can always come up here, and if you want to share it with yourself, sort of from a Teams account to a personal account or a Teams account to a Pro account, you can come in here and you can generate a template link. So you can come in here and you can share, and let's go under this download. Actually, not under download. Let's go back. Let's go under to share. Let's go under these more options. We're going to find this template link. And whenever you generate a template link, then it's something where someone else opens that template link. They can launch sort of a copy, a new version of that design. So if you did all this with all your important files before getting rid of your Teams account, then you would know you have those backups on that other account because you clicked on those template links, you opened up those new design files. Now, the only thing I will say about this is this could be cumbersome if you have to go one by one. It would be nice if you could just grab one big folder and move the whole folder. At this point, I'm not sure what the options are for that. If anybody has a good option for that in the comments down below, you can leave a comment. I'll also, if I notice any updates, I'll post them down here below in the comments, waiting to hear from Canva on what are the options for someone who really wants to move a large amount of designs, because it could be cumbersome having to do that one thing at a time. So I understand Canva is a business. They have to make these pricing adjustments. So I'm not going to get mad about the Teams increase, because I don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. It's also Canva's choice as a business, and then you as a business owner have your own choices to make. What's going to be right for your business. Is Canva a good tool? Is Canva Teams a good tool? So you make those decisions, but I would like to see Canva step up and make sure there is a good way for people to easily preserve all their old files so that they just don't lose them all in this shift. Okay, so I hope all this has been helpful. Don't panic. You may have a way to actually save money. You might be able to collaborate without even using Canva Teams. And if you are going to use Canva Teams, then that's because you've done the math. You've looked at the bottom line of your business. You realize it's a good tool. You realize it's going to increase your revenue. So again, these are choices you have to make. Best of luck. And if you have any questions, put them down below. If you have any information I didn't include that might be helpful to other people, again, you can post that down below in the comments. And if this is all helpful, if you like tutorials like this about Canva, then like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Thanks a lot.